What's up, everybody? This is Hunter here with another review on an Apple TV Plus show, this time called Your Friends and Neighbors, starring Jon Hamm. We're going to do the same category you did in the last review, and we'll just jump right into it. So first one, we're going to talk about his plot. So one of the things that actually caught my eye on this show was the plot, and a very unique premise about this guy. He lives this lavish, rich lifestyle in this very materialistic and rich community. He's a guy that's really down on his luck, and he's separated. He's dealing with all these family issues between his ex-wife, his children, his sister, and he loses his job, which starts off the plot and is kind of like the final knife in the coffin for him, where he really
no one would ever suspect.
How are the kids?
Oh, they're fine.
Wife,
ex-wife.
That he wants to live, and also he wants to make sure he's still able to provide for his kids. I never really seen something to where you have this guy who already has all these things, these nice houses, these nice cars, all these nice accessories. He's basically on the verge of losing it all, so it's cool to see a guy that already has everything but is still has to try and fight to keep it. In a lot of shows, like Breaking Bad or these other crime shows, it's a lot of people working their way to the top. This character, he's already at the top and he's trying to just fight to stay there.
Well, I gotta deliver some bad news. You're fired.
So you have this guy who,
What?
Perspective. Life boils down to a series of interconnected decisions. You get the house, the cars, the stuff. But how the hell could everything go?
Whatever he can to just be able to resell them and afford what he needs to afford and give his children what they need, since they are growing up, getting ready to go to college and all that other stuff. And the thing that I mostly like about the plot is, it seems very one-dimensional at first. You have this guy who's breaking into these houses. You're wondering how much they can do with that, and they end up evolving that concept even further. You're breaking into these higher up individuals who, probably have some skeletons in their closet. They end up
So fast.
Has anyone ever told you that you talk a lot?
Well, I misplaced my inner monologue and my wife right around the same time.
How you doing, Coop? You okay?
Hey, you two, can I just say, I love that you had such a friendly divorce.
Right.
Hi. Yeah. It's getting hard.
With all that in mind, I'm going to give the plot about an 8 out of 10. Only reason I don't give it any higher than that is some of the pacing, especially in like the middle couple of episodes, more of the second half. It tends to slow down a little bit as you're working your way to the finale, but the finale, I think, really wraps up a lot of things, and the character kind of comes full circle near the end of it, where I think he has a really good arc throughout the beginning to the end of this season. Next, we're going to talk about characters and acting. I already covered Jon Hamm. He plays this character Coop really well. He has like a very great on-screen presence, and he really makes you feel bad for the character despite him doing these bad things and making these bad decisions. And overall, great performance from Jon Hamm as usual. But I really want to talk about these side characters that I think really flesh out their characters with even just so little to work with. More specifically, his friend group. I think his
Harder to pretend that nothing's going on.
I just need to know how long I could float on what I got.
6 months, tops.
I'd been thinking. These houses.
Who is like the most ideal friend anybody would want. He's always supporting him despite knowing that he's probably doing not so great things. And he always has his back despite being put in these bad situations. And I really like their friendship a lot. I also like Nick, who is now the boyfriend of his ex-wife. So they have a very interesting hate-love relationship, because Nick's not a bad guy, but at the same time, he's with his ex-wife now, so he's kind of forced to not like him, despite, Nick being such a nice and friendly guy. They have a very interesting dynamic as well, and their character growth together is really funny and is always engaging when they both are on screen together too. I also want to give credit to another
Stuff no one would miss for a while, if ever.
Rich guy loses his big job, has liquidity problems, turns to petty crime. That's not savvy, that's stupidity.
Maybe it's just desperation.
That's the first honest thing you've said.
And her life is also
I'll give you
kind of
65 for it.
Sorry, guys.
Seriously? What were you doing that was more important than this?
And she kind of pulls them together. She has a lot of great scenes with Coop's kids. They have a lot of great dialogue and chemistry with each other. She also has a lot of great singing set pieces. You know, with a lot of singers and shows and TV nowadays, they tend to be there just to show off their talent and kind of promote themselves. You know, I didn't really feel that with this character. It felt like her singing and her music was a part of her actual character, and it meshed really well with what they were trying to go for with her character. So I thought she was a great standout. Only problem I did have with some of the characters is they are dealing with a lot of them. So sometimes some characters would get pushed off to the side and be put on, I don't want to say like side quests, but like some meaningless scenes that led to some of that slow pacing in like the middle and second half of the season. Like there were these two like FBI agents that were kind of thrown.
For a guy with no job, we sure are busy.
Really do anything that significant throughout the rest of the show. To me, they just felt more like a roadblock that the character had to overcome, despite them having such a big screen presence and taking up a lot of the second half of the show. Also, I absolutely hated Coop's ex, Mel. The problem I have with her character is, like I said, a lot of these characters are morally gray, and a lot of them do a lot of bad things and a lot, questionable things. But like, for instance, with Coop's characters, he's doing bad things, but you understand why he's doing them. He's doing them for, at least to him, he thinks that he's doing them for a good reason. With her, she makes a lot of bad decisions just to really make bad decisions, just causing more conflict and more drama between a lot of these other characters kind of for no reason. And she kind of has also this trope that I don't really like, that a lot of TV shows and movies do with some of these characters, where they have this will they, won't they type thing, to where she's with this new, celebrity basketball player, Nick, and yet she's still like in the middle, should I stay with him? Should I get back with Coop? And it gets a little bit old, and I just, I didn't really care for what they were trying to do with her character, and it felt like they were really trying to get you to understand her and really like her, but every time she was on screen, I'm like, what are they doing with her now? Like, I would just kind of tune out a little bit because I didn't agree with a lot of things that they were trying to do with the character and what they chose to do with her. Overall, though, I'd probably give the acting and characters a 9 out of 10 for me. Overall, the acting was very well done. I thought a lot of the side characters were very interesting and very intriguing, and kept my attention when they were on screen. Only problem, like I said, I have with Mel and some of these other more minor characters that I think they could have done more with. Overall, great acting. Next, we're going to talk about soundtrack. There's nothing crazy here with the overall soundtrack and theme of the show. I thought it was good for, the drama aspect.
Caught, there will be penalties.
I needed that money!
Tell me the truth.
It was your job for Mom, for us.
I'm in trouble.
How bad?
Some of these more hectic scenes that Coop is involved in. For the most part, I thought the soundtrack was unique and different, and it fit the overall tone that the show was trying to go for. So I'm going to give the soundtrack an 8 out of 10. Normally, I would probably give this like a 6 or 7. The only reason I have it that high is I do like a lot of the song choices they input throughout the show. There's a lot of great songs that they kind of put in these more dramatic moments, like Hold Me Now by the Thompson Twins, and then they have a great song to end off the finale with Rolling Stones' Give Me Shelter, which, I mean, if you have any Rolling Stones, ending off an episode, I mean, that you can't get better than that. So that's why I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. Cinematography, I don't have a lot to say about cinematography. I thought it was fine. I didn't think it was amazing or, you know, anything different, but I mean, for what the show was and is, I thought it got the...
You ever look at something you've been staring at for so long, you suddenly realize you stopped seeing it a long time ago?
It's not yours if you can't keep it.
Specific items, when as he's going to grab them, he kind of has this like monologue that plays in his head that kind of describes, it's almost like an ad for the item that's describing what he's stealing. It's very unique and very different. I'll probably give the cinematography a 7 out of 10. I didn't think it was anything crazy, but like I said, it did what it was supposed to do, and overall I thought the editing was good. Enjoyability, I think I'll give the enjoyability an 8 out of 10. Overall, I had a lot of fun. At first, you know, when I saw the trailer for it, I was a little bit unsure about how much I was going to like the show, but I mean, it kept me hooked week to week. I was very invested in Coop's character. I wanted to see how his arc was going to end throughout the season.
What'd you get up to last night?
Oh,
you
know,
from
not much.
the story is going to get to, and when it gets to it, it almost kind of feels like a different show at that point. Kind of just needed a minute to adjust to it, but when I adjusted to it and we got more into that plot line and we got to the resolution and everything, I was satisfied to where the show went, or threw me off guard a little bit at first. But like I said, I was really satisfied with the way they wrapped it up, and I really like how they left Coop's character at the end of this show, and I think it sets up a great season 2 that will hopefully flesh out a lot of these other side characters that I really want to see more of. Overall, I'm going to give this show 40 out of 50. I thought John Hamm was great in the leading role, and it was cool to see a lot of other actors that I haven't really seen a lot of projects kind of stand out in this show. And it was a great premise, and I really recommend, if you guys have Apple TV Plus, that you check this show out. Lately, Apple TV has been coming out with a lot of bangers, so I'm excited to watch more on there. But that's going to be it for me for this review. I'm also going to be doing a spoiler review on this show, so if you have already seen the show and you want to tune into that, please do. Or if you watch this and you want to check out the show, you know, come back to that, and I'll kind of dive more in depth on what I liked and what I specifically didn't like in the show. Yeah, it should be fun. Until next time, guys, and me and Cammy wish you a great day. See ya.